Hi guys, welcome back to English with Max. In this video, we're going to look at some advanced vocabulary. These aren't strange or obscure words. Most high school students who are native speakers would know these words, but they're words that non-natives often don't learn. If you know all or most of these words, then you probably have a C2 level, at least in terms of comprehension. If you don't know these words, don't fret. That's also a good word, because this is a good opportunity to perhaps add some more interesting verbs to your vocabulary. Oh, and don't fret simply means don't be unhappy or worried. Now, if you're really interested in improving your vocabulary, you might like to sign up for my free advanced English email lessons. I send them out every 2 weeks and you can unsubscribe at any time. I'll put the link in the description. If you're interested in improving your grammar, remember that I also have a video course on Udemy which covers 55 very common mistakes made by non-native speakers. If you'd like to receive my special discount for that, you'll also find the link in the description. And just one more thing before we start. Frank, that's Frank, would also be really happy if you followed us on social media. I have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you want to hear Frank talk, you will find some videos on those platforms. Okay, and now the verbs. Yes, this video is just on verbs. I've sort of divided them into categories, and then there are a few miscellaneous ones at the end. This first group is all to do with breaking the law. These ones are actually all to do with financial crime. Number 1. To defraud. To defraud means to take money or goods from a person or organization illegally. For example, he was found guilty of defrauding his business partner of thousands of dollars. Naughty, naughty. And now we have to embezzle. To embezzle means to secretly and illegally take money from the place where you work. Normally it's used for people who are in positions of power and are in control of large sums of money. The company's managers went to prison after they embezzled more than £1 million. Number 3 is extort. To extort means to illegally force somebody to give you something, usually money, by using threats. For example, the gang has been extorting money from local business owners for years. And now we have to swindle. Swindle is very similar to defraud. It means to get money from somebody by deceiving them. This is a little informal, so you might hear it on the news, but it probably wouldn't be used in a courtroom. The company swindled their investors out of millions of dollars. And now we have some words related to conflict. The first one is to badmouth. This is an informal word, and it means to criticize somebody or something in a very unpleasant way. She got fired for bad-mouthing the company in public. Jack acts like her best friend, but he bad-mouths her behind her back. And now we have to bicker. To bicker means to argue, especially about things that aren't very important. It isn't as strong as to fight. Bickering is basically just silly arguing. My grandparents love each other, but they're always bickering. The party members frequently bicker amongst themselves. The synonym of bicker is squabble. This basically means the same thing as bicker. It's perhaps just a little bit stronger. People might make a bit more noise, for example, when they squabble. Here's an example sentence. That tennis player is always squabbling with the umpire. Now, some people, after they bicker or squabble with somebody, aren't very happy. And if they're not very happy, they might sulk. To sulk means to be angrily silent. If a person sulks, they might refuse to be friendly or not want to talk to anybody. After I told Frank to behave better, he sulked in his room for a couple of hours. And now let's look at some movement verbs. The first one is to amble. To amble means to walk slowly in a relaxed way. For example, she ambled along the path without a care in the world. The next one is to dawdle. Yes, I know that sounds a bit funny. Anyway, to dawdle means to walk slowly or to take more time than necessary to do something. It's used in a disapproving way. A parent might say to their children, "Stop dawdling, you'll be late for school." Or if you're going to a party with some friends and you're walking there and some friends are walking very slowly behind you, you might say to them, "Guys, please don't dawdle. The party has already started." And now we have to hover. This has a few meanings, but I'll just give you the two main ones. Firstly, it can mean to stay in the one place in the air. It's used for things like birds, insects, or helicopters. For example, when we eat outside, there are always flies hovering around us. You can also say to hover above. For example, the helicopter hovered above the lake. It can also be used for people. In that case, it means to stand around the same place, usually because you're waiting for something or you're not sure what to do. For example, you could say, "I appreciate good service, but I don't like it when waiters hover around my table." And now we have to linger. This is similar to hover, but they're not exactly the same. This means to take longer than usual to leave or disappear. I don't like eating raw onions because the taste always lingers in my mouth. After the conference, Frank lingered in the dining area to make the most of the leftover food. And now to stroll. Stroll is a synonym of amble. It means to walk in a slow and relaxed way, but normally it's done for pleasure. For example, we decided to stroll along the beach after the meal. The last one in this section is to strut. To strut means to walk in a proud way, trying to look important. We use this in a disapproving way. For example, the manager's son strutted around the office as if he owned the place. And now we have a few ways of speaking. The first one is to mumble. This is actually one of my bad habits in real life. In any case, I try not to do it in my videos. To mumble means to speak quietly and in an unclear way. Normally, it happens when people don't open their mouths wide enough. For example, I only understood half of what she said because she was mumbling. Next we have to mutter. This is very similar to mumble, but people normally mutter if they are angry or annoyed. It looks something like this. Why do you do that? Every time. Yeah, maybe that's an exaggeration, but that's basically it. It's like mumbling when you're not very happy about something. For example, After the argument, he muttered something to himself and left. And now to shriek. This has two main meanings. Firstly, it can mean to make a loud, high-pitched sound. It could be because the person is scared or in pain, but it could also be because the person is excited, so it might be for a positive reason. For example, the kids shrieked with joy when they found out they were going to Disneyland. I'm not going to imitate it because if you're listening to this with headphones, it might not be very pleasant. It can also mean to say something in a loud, high-pitched voice. For example, when the burglar entered her home, she shrieked, "Get out of my house!" And now a few random ones before we finish. The first one is to backfire. This has two main meanings. Firstly, it can be used to talk about an engine. It's when an engine makes a sudden loud sound because it's not working properly. I don't actually know how it works because, frankly, I don't care that much about those types of things, but I'm sure we've all heard a car or a truck backfire. It's a really loud bang sound. Here's an example sentence. We all got a fright when a car in the street backfired. Secondly, it can be used to talk about plans or actions. It means to have the opposite effect of the one intended. He tried to make himself more desirable to his girlfriend by flirting with other people, but the plan backfired and she dumped him. To dump means to break up with somebody. The next one is to grin. To grin means to smile widely, especially in amusement. So if you find something funny. For example, I was suspicious when I saw Frank grinning this morning. The thing is, sometimes people grin just if they're happy or if they find something funny, but sometimes people grin if they've done something a bit naughty. And finally, we have to milk. I'm sure you know the noun milk, but it can be a verb as well. This has two main meanings. Firstly, it can mean to take milk from an animal such as a cow or a goat. So if you're doing it manually, it looks something like this. It's also an informal word meaning to get as much as you can from a situation or a person, usually in an unfair or dishonest way. It's similar to take advantage of or exploit. For example, the company is milking their clients for even more money. That's it, guys. I hope you found this useful. As I said in the beginning, if you know all of these words, then you probably have a very advanced vocabulary. If you didn't know these words, like I said, this is a good opportunity to add some new words to your vocabulary. And now a little bit of homework. I encourage you to take one of these words and use it in a sentence in the comments. I will try to correct it for you. Thanks very much for watching. I'll see you next time. For example, excuse me. There's a dog barking. I don't really... To mutter,